Welcome back to another review for Monday Night Raw. This one is from November 13th, 1995. On this episode, we are getting an intercontinental title match between Razor and Psycho Sid. Well, that was until this week, where it no longer is for the belt for whatever reason. And the 123 Kid, aka the Stickman, will be the special referee. So now that it's not a title match, hopefully we get a clear cut winner? Maybe? Probably? I don't know. The first match, we have Henry Godwin versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I don't really remember how this feud started, but here we are. And Hunter's undefeated streak on Raw is on the line for the fake dominance award that I have created. Helmsley sprays perfume in Godwin's direction, and Henry tries to come in with the slop bucket, but instead he slops himself. Helmsley runs away because he doesn't want to get touched by him. He runs around ringside and slips on the spilled slop and does eventually escape from Godwin to the back. So, because there was no real winner, Helmsley still keeps the streak alive at 6-0. After a Survivor Series update, we get a montage of Shawn Michaels with him also doing a voiceover, putting himself over as the great performer. I'm not going to argue with him there, but it was kind of weird that he was hyping himself in his own video package. Next up, Ahmed Johnson making his Raw in-ring debut, and I think this is the fourth episode from the same venue, so I don't know if the crowd knows who this guy is. Depending on when they recorded this match in the order with what happened last week after slamming Yokozuna, because he doesn't get the same reaction coming out this week, but he still picks up the win after a Tiger Bomb. And for once, Vince actually knew what the name of the maneuver was. He interviews Johnson after the match, but nothing really of note there to go over. Then the mayor of merchandise back at it again, this time selling a WWF calendar and a pair of gloves and glasses that Diesel wears. A very 90s look. People used to love these fingerless gloves for whatever reason back in the day. So make sure you give this guy a call if you want to secure your pair. Next up, we have an interview with both Diesel and Bret Hart in different locations. Diesel says that he thinks he's better than Bret at this point in time, and Bret has yet to prove him wrong because he's never beaten him. Bret brings up the fact that his mother threw in the towel to cost him the belt at last year's Survivor Series, but she was not the person selected to throw the towel in, so it shouldn't have counted. This is where it gets a little bit more heated. Bret brings up that he's better in the ring than him, Diesel that is, and Diesel tells him not to toot his own horn because Shawn Michaels was a good opponent for him too. I don't get the animosity that Diesel shows towards Bret here because Bret has done nothing but put Diesel over as a great performer. Obviously, the backstage stuff between Shawn and Bret and Diesel being friends with Shawn is showing here, but shows you the two different ways you can play it when there's real life heat backstage. Diesel going for the low hanging fruit, and Bret takes the high road. Here are some of Bret's last words.
I think what it really comes down to, there's a certain point in your life where your memories, they become more important than your dreams. And there's a certain time when you reach that, and I haven't reached that yet. And last year I was interrupted with my World Wrestling Federation Championship reign. It was interrupted, and I got one title shot. No winner was declared. And as far as I'm concerned, for the last year, Diesel's been walking around with my title, my championship belt. And it's time to find out who is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
One of the better back and forth promos I've seen during the 3 years of doing these reviews. Felt more real, and this does get you more invested in the third match to finally see a winner. It also helps that their past matches have been pretty good, besides the fact that there was never a finish. So actually, I think there might have been one of them that actually had a clear cut winner, maybe a roll up or something. I can't remember really. So hopefully, the third time with no holds barred, it will make the match a little bit better and different than the last two times. Next up, we have Mabel taking on an enhancement talent. He picks up the win with a belly to belly, and he will be captain of a Survivor Series team versus The Undertaker and his team. The backstory there is because Mabel injured Undertaker a couple weeks ago, so Taker is coming back for like the fifth time in 3 years to get his revenge once again, this time against Mabel. Alright, so now we got the match between Sid and Razor. Sid still being accompanied by the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Haven't seen Tatanka in weeks. King Kong Bundy got eliminated first in the Battle Royal a couple weeks ago. IRS is now in WCW, so the corporation has now turned into a small business. The Kid lifts the belt up as if it were a title match, but Vince reminds us that this is not for the belt. We were supposed to see this match months ago, but we never did because Sid attacked Razor, so let's see what kind of match these two can put on. Razor hits a knee lift and goes for the Razor's Edge, but Sid drops him out of the ring. Dean Douglas also makes his way to ringside and attacks Razor on the outside while the Kid is being distracted. Razor eventually makes it back inside after almost getting counted out. Sid drops a leg on him for a near fall. Racer gets out of a camel clutch and hits a nasty looking electric chair, and Sid falls back on his neck. You can't keep Psycho Sid down though, and he gets up, keeps going like nothing happened. Racer then gets him up for the Razor's Edge, but the kid pulls Sid off, which allows Sid to hit the power bomb, and the kid does a fast 3 count, and Sid gets the win. DiBiase puts a $5 Canadian bill in Razor's mouth, and it appears that the kid has been bought and will be joining the $1 Million Man to try to rebuild the corporation. This isn't coming out of nowhere really, because there have been signs of the kid turning to the dark side, especially having some tension with Razor Ramon. So the turn has been complete, and the fans hate the 123 kid now, if they weren't already turning on him before this. In the back, while Jim Ross is interviewing Cornette and his stable, Racer is pissed off looking for the kid, but sees Dean Douglas and tries to beat his ass for coming out during the match. They get away from Racer, and that's how the show ends. I will say this was a better watch through than the last couple of weeks. Let's see. We didn't get the match between Helmsley and Godwin that they promoted, but the storyline got continued. Ahmed Johnson getting a win to continue to establish him, and he also cut a little promo after the match. Not memorable, but not all promos need to be. The sit down interview with Bret and Diesel was also pretty well done, created more tension between the two, instead of just relying on the match selling itself because it was going to be the third match with an added stipulation. Diesel wants to win to prove he's better than Bret once and for all, and Bret wants to win the belt that he doesn't feel he should have lost and hasn't gotten a fair rematch. So both guys with something to prove, which adds to the match. And the match between Racer and Sid was fine, but it was all for the end where the kid joins the $1 Million Man and turns on his old friend Razor. So all in all, a decent episode to further storylines to get us to the pay-per-view. They did enough to get a good grade this week. In terms of going up against WCW Nitro, they are not doing enough. How do you have a tape show 4 weeks in a row, allowing the competition to spoil the results? And I know both shows do it, but then you also have matches where there is no real winner. If I was either company, this is where I would try to change that to get the trust from fans. Like, hey, we don't do non finishes over here for big matches. You can expect a great match with a clear winner when you tune in to watch our show. But I guess they weren't thinking about that in the 90s. I like that about AEW in today's wrestling landscape. They might do, a cheap finish here and there, but for the most part, there's always a winner. Rarely do you see DQs and countouts ending matches in AEW. But anyways, that does it for the review. I'll watch Survivor Series and let you guys know my thoughts and opinions on some of the matches and what happened on the next review. So until then, I'm out. I'll catch you guys on the next one.